Good morning everyone. So in today's class we are going to discuss how a line graph can be used to compare different numbers. First of all, we'll read the statement. The line graph shows the average annual expenditure on cell phones and residential phones services between 2001 to 2007. Now in this case we have been given the annual expenditure which was spent by these two things. Those are cell phone and residential phones. So we have to summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons wherever relevant. So this is a line graph. These are the amounts given to us and these are the years. So the blue line, it represents the cell phones, and the red line, that represents the landline phone. So let's start. First of all, we'll write the statement, introduction statement. The line graph illustrates the average cost that American customers spend on mobile and landline phone services. We will just see these are the amounts which are given to us and these are the years. So this line graph shows the average cost of American spent on mobile phones and landline phones during the years 2001 to 2010. Fine. So they have talked about 10 years period. Fine. Now we'll talk about overall what is there in this graph. Overall spending on residential phone services dramatically declined. If we'll just see, these are this red line, it represents the residential phone services. Fine. So if we just see, it started with 700, but there was gradually it decreased. The expenditure which was spent on residential phone services, it declined, whereas while popularity of mobile services increased sharply. So this blue line, it represents the cell phones, expenditure of cell phones. Fine. If we'll just see, there was an there was an increase in this blue line. So this increase was about the services of cell phones. So this is about overall. Fine. After that, also both the services met at the same record in 2006. This is 2006. If we'll just see here, see cell phone services, fine, and mobile phone services. These both services met at a point, and that point was year 2006, and the amount which can be merely observed, that was approx 550. Clear? So this was about the overall of this line graph. Now we'll discuss in detail. In 2001, spending on mobile phone services began by merely, it was $200. So it started with the 200. In 2001, if we'll just see, this is 2001 and this is about cell phone services. Cell phone services, it was only 200 in 2001, whereas if we'll just talk in the same way, it was 700 in 2001. Fine. While the amount of annual expenditure on the residential phone services was $700. See, in 2000, this mobile phones, these were 200. This is 200 in this year 2001, whereas if we'll talk about residential phones, it was approximate, or it was about 700. Over the following 5 years, expenditure on landline phone services gradually dropped below $600. If we'll just talk about next 5 years, see, they are talking about the following 5 years, the expenditure on landline phones. If we'll talk about next 5 years, like we'll talk about 2003, 4, 5 to 6, the uses of the expenditure of landline services, it just declined. See, it just declined. It is declining. See, it is in declining position. Fine. And whereas it dropped below $600. See, in 2005, if we'll just see this thing, in 2005, if we'll just see the total expenditure of this, spent on landline services, it was about, in these 5 years, it was less than 600, and see it is meeting here. So it was less, it was below 600 in next 5 years, whereas the expenditure on cell phone services rose just over $500. See, this just declined, whereas if we'll talk about cell phone services, we can see there was a great incline in this next 5 years. From 2005 to 2006, if we'll see, there was a decline in residential phone services, whereas there was a great increase can be seen in the expenditure of mobile phones, whereas these two lines are intersecting here in 2006 on one point. Clear? So this is about whereas the expenditure on the cell phone services it was over $500. Now we'll move to next part of this. In 2006, cell phone overtook the landline phones. Here in the up to 2006, if we'll just see, both the lines are intersecting on one point. After 2006, we have seen there was a decline. There was a regular decline in these services. Residential phone services, it was declined, whereas we can see a mere rose in the uses of or in the expenditure of cell phone services. In 2006, cell phone overtook landline phones and the services became equal in popularity with customers' annual expenditure. It was about $550. So in these, it was both at one point these both are meeting. So the expenditure of both cell phone services whereas landline services became equal at one point. So if it is becoming equal, it means it is bisecting each other at one point. Then the cell phone expenses rose to approximately $750 in 2010. After this, if we'll just see, this is a cell phone. In this point, it was bisecting, but there was a mere rose in this expenditure of cell phones, and if we'll just see in 2010, it increased to about $750. See, it increased about $750. We will not give up exact number to this because we have not given any exact number. It is between 7, see this point, it is between 7 to 800. So we'll say it was about 750 in 2010, making a four-fold jump relatively to its initial figure in 2001. Four-fold jump means it was a kind of 4 times it increased. For example, if we'll see, it was 200 in 2001. The expenditure on cell phone, it was 200 in 2001. Whereas if we'll just talk about 2010, fine, so it was 750. There was 4 times increase in the expenditure of cell phone services. Meanwhile, spending on the residential phone services experienced a steep fall in 2007. After this, if we'll just see in 2007, from 2007, there was a steep fall in the expenditure of residential phone services and went on steadily decrease for the rest of the period. After that, from 2007, for the remaining period of time, like from 2007 to 2010, it just showed a steep decline. So this was about the line graph, how we have compared the numbers using the line graphs. Thank you.